Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is SoFlo Josh and over here with my 2024 Ford Escape Active. Now it's been officially 1 year since I've owned this vehicle, so let's give a 1 year anniversary update. So like many of you know, previously I had a Honda HR-V Sport and I traded in for this beautiful Escape Active. Now the reason why I did it primarily was because the HR-V was a horrible car, did not feel that good. This one is a lot better. Let's talk about some of the things that has happened over the years. So I've only put 5,200 miles on this vehicle. I did a 7,500 mile lease with this vehicle for 4 years. And so I haven't really gone too much into the mileage, but it's enough to give you guys an update on how the powertrain has been in terms of recalls, because many of you know Ford has a lot of recalls and other cosmetic damages or changes to this vehicle. So outside of the vehicle, not much has changed. I don't plan on doing anything because it's a lease, of course, and this is a Ford Escape. This is not like a, BMW M3 or an Audi RS3. This is just basic wear and tear. It's normal front end grille design. Nothing really has damage to this grille since it's a black plastic cladding, which is a good thing because on my Honda HR-V, after 1 year of owning it, there has been fading to the side wheel fenders, which we'll get onto that part. Even on the side parts where the fog lights would actually be implemented to, nothing really has been happening there. In the front, I actually just got this clean. Don't worry, that's a little bit of the kind of dust that I deal with when it comes to going into work. But the hood, not that much of cosmetic issues either. Very nice. It's actually hold up very well. Now the only issue I have on the hood is actually a scratch somewhere around here. It's actually right here, this little pinstripe. And the reason why that's there is because when I took it to the dealership, I believe that when they were working underneath the hood, they put something on, or maybe the guy was working on it, that kind of scratch right there. It's not something that I noticed from the beginning of owning this vehicle. So I've noticed that when I got the car back from the dealership. Like I said, the fenders on the side, no wear and tear issues whatsoever, no fading, even though they're the black plastic cladding. The wheels look good, very, very good. And even the side of the plastic cladding has been holding up pretty well. Even with a little bit of dirt underneath there, it's still been holding up very, very well. Now, here comes one of the issues that I've been having, these rear brakes. So there has been an issue with Ford models, no matter which one you actually buy, where the rear brakes just make this howling sound early in the morning. It's due to either the condensation with, the weather and stuff building up on the brakes overnight, but it happens a lot in the morning. I reported it to my dealership. They said that they changed the brake calipers actually in the back, the pads, so then it doesn't make that. But I'm still having the same exact issue. So nothing really there has changed in terms of that. It's still a howling noise early in the morning. You back up, it's bad. It's a really bad, loud sound. Another issue I'm having is this specific rear tire, and specifically the TPMS sensor. I don't know what's wrong with this specific tire, but it's losing pressure faster than any of the other tires. I put air into all 4 tires occasionally, especially since it's been already officially a year. These do not have the nitrogen air embedded in them. If not, then they would have put a green cap at the end. So they're just a regular tire air. I'm not sure what's going on. They looked at it at the dealership and they said that there's no nails, there's nothing in it. If the issue continues to go forward, then to bring it back in. That TPMS sensor just keeps on going on. Actually, whenever we started the video right now, you actually saw that on the dash, that the low tire pressure for 28 PSI on these rear wheels. And yes, whenever you fill it up, there's no hissing sound coming out of the actual stem there, nothing at all. At the rear, no issues whatsoever. Spoiler looks good. The gloss black design on the top portion as well. And then as you look there with the black plastic cladding, again, very well done. Good durability compared to that of what we see in the Honda equivalent. And then the rear cargo area, not as much change in back. I don't really put a lot of stuff in here other than grocery stuff. Now when we continue onto the side, as you see, the driver's side section, Nothing bad at all either. Very well durable vehicle. But let's get into the inside because there is some things I need to talk about. So one of the main issues that I've been having with this car has actually been the Sync 4 system. Now, as many of you know, Ford typically has an issue with their Sync 4 system, primarily with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's going to be times where you're either using the wired connectivity where it doesn't link up the Apple CarPlay, but it links up to charge the phone, which is very interesting. Or even when you do wireless Apple CarPlay, same exact issue. I have noticed that it still perceives in the Ford Explorer with the Google embedded system in it. My girlfriend actually owns a new Ford Explorer and she has the newer system, and even with wireless CarPlay or wired connectivity, it still continues to happen. I thought that when they switched over to the Google system, it would be a lot better. I just think that the Sync 4 system, or the Sync system that Ford has always had, has just been really bad with connectivity. And this is, many people have mentioned this. One of my favorite video YouTubers to watch that does the same thing that I do when it comes to reviews is actually Topher. Topher has a Ford Ranger Raptor. Same exact thing. He said that it's been happening. You know, it's just something you have to live with when you buy a Ford. Now, another issue is that the passenger side air vent. There is this noise that keeps on coming from that rear vent. I told the dealership, they said they couldn't replicate the issue. I actually took a video of it today, which I'm going to put a clip in right now so y'all can hear it. And so, as you guys can hear, it has an issue. There's some kind of whirling noise or loose screw somewhere in the dash that's causing that vibration on the right side of this, interior. And it's really annoying. Trust me, it gets very, very annoying after a bit. When it comes to the materials here and everything, even with the steering wheel, as you notice, nothing really has been happening with the steering wheel because I take really good care of the interior of my cars. The button layouts, everything works very good. There has been things that I noticed that you have to kind of like click in twice in order to get a menu to disappear. But that's just normal. That's something that's probably, just a button issue. It just does that. In terms of the side over here, very well done, great design and overall durability. And even the center console is very nice. I love the rotary shifter. It's actually very useful and it's easy to get into different gears and such as well. Now, the dash. I haven't had any issues whatsoever with the dash going dark on me, meaning that it doesn't illuminate at all. So that's a good thing. I'm very happy to report about that, but I know that there is some people out there that have other brands or current Ford Escapes that have been having that issue, and luckily I have not been having that issue. Let's talk about the fuel economy actually very quickly. When it comes to fuel economy, I have been averaging, let's go to the original miles, which is 5,222. Right there, 5,219 miles on the odometer for this trip. I've been averaging around 21.2. Now, if I were to reset it on a daily commute, I'm usually always city driving. I don't really use the highway or the turnpike. It's very annoying to use that. I averaged around on the highway, or actually city, around 23, 24 miles per gallon when I reset it. So it's pretty good. On a full tank of gas, depending on how your driving characteristics go, you can get around 340 miles of overall range, or a little bit more when you do highway driving. So when I was actually taking a trip from here down in Kendall all the way up to Boca Raton, where my sister lives, I reset the trip odometer, put it in eco, and I was able to get a total MPG with 50 miles there, 50 miles back, around 36 miles per gallon, which is actually very good. Remember, I have the 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder, not the 2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. So I went for this one primarily because I think this is a better well, not the better engine. I really do like this engine, and honestly, I'm not trying to like race this car or drive fast with this car. This is just my average daily commute, which is just a normal drive. So if I want to buy a fun car, I can go ahead and buy a fun car on the side or a project car and do that if I want to. But right now I have this vehicle, and it's actually very, very good. Overall, engine wise, there has been a recall with the engine when it came to the piston area. Well, actually, I'm going to open up the hood so I can show you. So one of the issues that I had, or one of the recalls actually, was there was an issue with the piston. One of the ball joints actually had an issue, and it had to be taken in because it could cause a fire. But as you see, the engine looks really good. No leakage. You don't see any oil spills anywhere, but it's really good. They were able to fix it. I took a while longer to get that recall done because I was waiting to do my first oil change, which I actually recently did. And when I did that, I was actually coming back from the Miami International Auto Show. I had to floor it because, you know, Miami drivers, they don't really know how to drive. They stay in the left lane. Actually, this is all America. They stay in the far left lane where you're supposed to go in order to pass. And so the issue was I had to floor it, and there was a smell of smoke coming from within the vents into the cabin space. So I had reported that to my advisor. He told me that that is one of the issues with the recall. So luckily, I was able to get that recall done in time before a fire occurred underneath the hood. So yes, whenever there's a recall, make sure to go ahead and actually get your car serviced right off the bat. But let's go ahead and drive it around for a little bit. So driving dynamics of this vehicle, very, very good. I like the way this car feels, the way the 8-speed automatic transmission feels, as well as that 3-cylinder. Now, not many people are fond of the idea of a 3-cylinder underneath the hood of a crossover, which I don't quite get because many brands use it. I mean, even Toyota uses it for their GR Corolla, but that's a performance vehicle. This is not. This is a daily commuter. This engine does make a lot of sense when it comes to overall daily commuting to and from work, and that's about it. It's really good. The only issue that I've heard that many people have had was with the transmission. Just make sure that you go ahead and actively change your transmission fluid around 40,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken, which is the average time that you should change your transmission fluid. But it feels great in here. Wheel, steering, everything feels great. And if you want to ever put it into sport, you have an actual sport button, which is quite funny because you just floor it and it gives you gas. You know, you get up and go. It does shift downward so it can give you a better gearing and a little bit better launch. The fun thing about this car is that since it's a front-wheel drive version, it's also another great thing because you can, you know, spin your tires whenever you're turning a corner or in the rain. It's just fun. You know, it's fun that a crossover like this can go ahead and just spin its tires randomly. I think that that's a very, very neat little thing about this car. And as you see right there, it lunged forward because it wants to go ahead and do more. I still love this engine. It's a really, really good engine entirely. I think Ford did a great job with this engine. Now, when it comes to fuel economy on the highway, like I mentioned, I did put an eco, 50 miles there, 50 miles back. My MPG was averaging around 36 MPG, which I'm very, very happy about because I think that's one of the best things. Look at this turning circle. Amazing. And then you can floor it. Even in normal mode, it feels good too. So it's really good. The fact that I can get 36 MPG, and mind you, it was sunny going there, coming back it was raining, and which that usually affects a little bit of aerodynamics because of the way that the wind is coming from and other factors. But it's still great the way that the car was able to achieve that total MPG on, you know, a highway. Now, of course, if you want something a little bit more fuel economical, go for the 2.5 liter hybrid system. That one has an Atkinson's cycle 4-cylinder. Compared to this, it's not really Atkinson because it's not a hybrid system. That is a better overall fuel achiever. I think those are quoted at 42 mpg or around that, which is pretty cool. I think that if you're looking for that, especially in this current climate where the gas prices, yeah, sure, they're dipping, but it's kind of better if you want something that's more economical. It's smart, because you never know, something can shift in, you know, prices for the gas pumps and such. Now, one thing I will say is that I'm very sad that Ford is actually eliminating this car from its lineup. The fact that the Escape has been in its lineup for a long time and now it's being killed off is just sad. They're focusing more on the Ford Bronco Sport, which I'm not the biggest fan of. It's literally just an outer box Escape, you know, an Escape with an outer box shell. Not the biggest fan of that car. I wouldn't get that car, only if you're kind of like, you know, if you're going off-roading, sure. But if you're daily commuting, this is all you need. You don't really need, you know, that car. It just doesn't do its justice. You know, it's not like a true Bronco. The Bronco that you would want to get would be, you know, the bigger body on frame Bronco, not this one where it's a unibody system. I am just sad that Ford is getting rid of it. I think it's just a mistake. The fact that these are selling more than the Bronco Sport, it's just telling. They should continue it, and I hope that they do. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for watching. Want to give a huge thank you to all of my supporters for helping me out through these years. And once again, this is my 1-year anniversary video. And also, make sure to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.